Welcome to Chasing Circa Millions, a season-long journey swimming with the sharks for a shot at a piece of $6 million. Each week of the NFL season, Dave and Matt will break down the schedule and come up with 5 picks against the spread to enter into the Circa Millions contest. Let's see what the guys come up with this week.
Here we go, and welcome to Season 3 of Chasing Circa Millions, where Matt and Dave go after the $6 million available in Circa Millions every year by picking 5 teams from the NFL contest point spreads each week. Matt, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited for week 1. A lot of good games out there. Already a decent enough game last night with the Cowboys, so I'm ready to roll.
Me too. Yep. We're recording here from our studios in a cornfield in Illinois and New York City, and there's a game we're recording on Friday night. So there is a Chiefs-Chargers game about to kick off here in about 10 minutes, but maybe we'll just briefly talk about that. Let's get on. We're going to go over each of these games one by one, Matt, and break them down real quick. Then we'll come up with our 5 games at the end. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Okay. Here we go. The fans love it. Okay, Eagles-Cowboys last night, just a brief comment. Jalen Carter, what an idiot. Made it really difficult for us to gain too much from that game. It was a good game to watch, other than the hour-long rain delay. But Cowboys looked better than anticipated, but without Carter in the defensive line, made it a little tough to evaluate. What do you think?
Yeah, it was hard to tell what was going on without Carter in there. Obviously, got thrown out 6 seconds into the game. Cowboys offense, I thought, looked pretty good, but like you said, pass rush really probably wasn't there from the Eagles. I was surprised, and obviously pending Carter not being in there, but I was surprised how well they were able to run the ball. That's something that they were kind of missing in the past seasons. Their defense didn't look too horrible. Jalen Hurts wasn't really throwing a lot. I don't know what was up with A.J. Brown, 1 reception for 8 yards. Eagles, I think, took care of business as they should at home. And Cowboys probably warrant a little bit of an upgrade, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep, I agree. Any thoughts on Chiefs-Chargers tonight?
Yeah, I talked to you about the Chargers a little bit earlier in the week. I kind of like them laying 3 against the Chiefs, a divisional underdog play. Obviously, it's in Brazil, so it's kind of hard to tell what's really going on with that game. I know last year the surface in Brazil wasn't that good, led to a pretty high-scoring game. I think that was Eagles-Packers. I believe we actually had the Eagles week 1 last week, which turned out well for us. So it's going to be hard to gauge, really, from an offensive and defensive standpoint because of the kind of change there being in Brazil, but I would lean Chargers there, as you know, and we discussed in the preseason. I'm not too high on the Chiefs.
Yep, I agree. I don't have too much to say about that game. I'll be interested to watch it, but tough one to kind of bet because there's too many variables in there, right? Between playing in Brazil and first game of the year and that type of thing, so difficult. Okay, let's hop on to the slate beginning on Sunday, and I have the point spreads up there on the screen so everybody can see them. The first game being the Steelers-Jets. I got some notes for a few of these games. Mike Tomlin has typically gotten his players ready to fire in week 1 on the road. In the last 4 week 1 road games, the Steelers are 4-0 money line and against the spread. On the other sideline, first-year head coach Aaron Glenn will look to change the fortunes of his team, and they could start that with a better showing out of the gate because since 2017, they're 6-20 straight up and 7-19 in September. This game was 3.5 a lot of the week, and it's come down a little bit to 3. I'm seeing some 3.5s out there, different books. What are your thoughts on this game, Matt?
Yeah, I'm seeing 2.5 at FanDuel.
Yeah.
So
it's a
I
mixed
just
bag.
said I'm seeing 2.5 at FanDuel, so it's a little bit of a mixed bag. I think, I'd probably be Steelers or pass if we were having to choose this game. Jets, like we talked about in the preview, Justin Fields throwing the ball. Don't really have a lot of confidence in him. Now, something that I think could be a wrinkle is you have Aaron Rodgers, who didn't really look too good against the blitz generally last year. Had a pretty poor performance. I was reading up on some stats that he was one of the worst QBs in the league against the blitz. And that's probably just a sign of his age. So if Aaron Glenn decides to go with a blitz-heavy defense, I think it could really muck up the game. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game, but Steelers have a solid record in week 1, and I just don't think the Jets will have enough on offense to really overcome them. I could see it probably in a 17-14 type game. I mean, Steelers, I think, won week 1 last year, 18 to maybe 10, and they only kicked field goals. So I could see that happening again this year.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, they did win that game last year with 6 field goals. So, yeah, going to be similar. Another one of these games, week one is such a difficult week because you don't know what you're going to get. And I'm not sure what we're going to get out of Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of the Jets passing game. There's so many variables there, right? I mean, I think if you were looking at Dave and Matt 2 years ago, we'd probably be jumping on the Steelers. I think we've got a little smarter about this
Yep.
as the process has gone along. You would think that the Steelers should be able to take care of the Jets. But strange things happen on week one, and again, there's a lot of variables. I don't like the Steelers' receiving group that great, and their running game is I don't know where that's going to go either. So a lot of variables, a lot of unknowns. Tough game to pick. Dolphins, Colts. I don't know. When I first looked at this on Monday, I wanted to jump all over the Dolphins. Better quarterback, Tua against Daniel Jones. Probably a lean to the running game of the Colts a little bit, but certainly a better passing attack, especially with Tyreek Hill healthy and going to play in this game for the Dolphins. And I thought the Dolphins were looking pretty good to me earlier in the week. And then the more I read about the Dolphins defense, Dolphins injuries, and a lot of people are coming to the Colts, this line has moved quite a bit through the week. And I think right now, yeah, it's funny that at BetMGM, you can get +1 on Indianapolis. At FanDuel, you can get +1.5 on Miami. So I don't think that the market really knows where this game's going, right? It's sort of a flip game. Anyway, like I said, I did like the Dolphins early in the week, but I soured on them as the week went on.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think it's hard to say how the Dolphins' defense is going to be, especially the secondary. Um, is Daniel Jones the kind of QB that can take advantage of a bad secondary? I don't really think so. I think it's probably going to be a pretty ugly game. I'm not really anticipating seeing a lot from the Colts on offense, but their defense could be good enough to get some stops. I like Miami too. Probably not enough to throw them in there for our picks, but I think maybe if it were 1.5, I'd be a lot more interested. But at a pick 'em, I feel like we're not getting the best of the numbers.
Yep, I agree. We can go on to Panthers Jaguars. This one opened with the Jags at 3.5, and then the line moved and they dropped the hook to Jaguars -3, and then later in the week it was bought back to 3.5 now. Bryce Young was 7-2 against the spread over his last 9 starts last season, and the Jags are 1-6 money line and against the spread in their last 7 home games in September. For the total, it's been sticking around 46.5. And between these, the over was 22-12 between these two teams last year. So these were a couple of over teams. Unfortunately, they were probably going over because the other teams were scoring on them so much, right? So I'll let you go first on this one, Matt, because I've got some thoughts myself.
Yeah, the more I looked into this game, the more I like the Jags' new kind of offensive outlook with Liam Cohen being there. He's kind of like the QB whisperer, and I think he could probably do a lot of good things for Trevor Lawrence. They have some decent enough weapons on offense. They got Brian Thomas, Travis Hunter, new addition. They kind of have an interesting running back room with ETN, Bigsby. Defense, I don't really know what to expect from the Jags. I think it's going to be hard not to improve on where they were last season, but I kind of like them here against the Panthers. The Panthers are kind of riddled with injuries, it seems like. Their wide receiver room, one of their guys, it was Coker, I think, is out. And Thielen also, like, what, is he gone out?
He's gone. He's in
Yeah,
Minnesota.
he's gone. Yeah, and they do have Ted McMillan and Chuba Hubbard, who I like both of them. But Bryce Young loved throwing to Thielen last year. And without kind of that safety blanket, I think he might struggle a little bit more. So I kind of like the Jags here at home. It seems like the line movement has stayed stable enough, and Jags got some buybacks. So that makes me a little bit more confident as well.
Yep. I am on board with those thoughts completely. I've been on the Jaguars all week. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of love for Trevor Lawrence the last couple of years, and he's never loved me back. But I really think this has got to be the year for him if he's going to do anything. If he's going to stay in this league for an extended period of time, it's time for him to put up or shut up. He's got some good receivers to throw to this year. He's got a pretty strong running game. I like them a lot at home. They're going to be looking to get off to a good start. They have an extremely difficult early schedule. So this is, I hate to say the week one is a must win, but it's one of those games that if they're going to get off to a good season and make a run at the playoffs at all, this is a game that they're going to need to have. So like the Jags a lot. Next up, we got the Giants and the Commanders. And don't have any notes on those, but this line's been going down and down and down as more and more money's come in on the Giants this week. Some of the podcasts and shows I've listened to during the week are just loving the Giants, mostly because of their much improved defense. So not a game I'm really interested in. I don't like the division games in our Circa Millions contests. They're tough. If you're going to do anything, I guess you got to take the points in the division games. You know, the Commanders looked pretty good last year, right? And will Jaden Daniels have a step back this year? I guess we'll see. This is another one of those wait and see games for me, Matt. I think I lost you. Did I lose you?
There we go. Yep, I'm having a little bit of connection issues, but I'm good now.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Did you hear what I had to say? Did you hear what I had to say?
Yeah. I think, I heard what you had to say. Giants defense improved, offense still a little bit of a wild card. I think they're starting Russell Wilson, so not really expecting much from him. I'm not really the biggest Russ fan. I think they outperformed last year, kind of like we said. I don't think I'd be wanting to lay 6 with them. The line movement's a little bit confusing. I'm now seeing a 6.5 popping at FanDuel, so maybe if this were a 6.5 or even a 7, I'd kind of lean maybe a little bit towards including the Giants, just because I do have really high expectations for that defense. But with the number where it's at and this being a division game, I think it's best we stay away.
Yep, I agree for sure. Next up, we've got the Bengals and the Browns, which this was the game last year in week 1. It was involving the Bengals, and they were hosting the Patriots. They knocked so many people out of survivor pools. Big upset by the Patriots. I think they were significant underdogs in that game. The Bengals have just the last couple of seasons got off to horrific starts to the season. They never played Joe Burrow in the preseason until this year. And I think to try and get away from those bad starts they've been having, I think they threw Joe out there and got him into some games and tried to get their offense moving. This is another one of those games, division game, that we would have probably been all over last year and the year before. This year, I have my doubts. I'm not really interested. It seems a little fishy. It's gone from 5.5 to back to 5 for the Browns, so there's obviously a little bit of money coming in there. I think right now there's a 5 at Caesars and 5.5 at Bet Rivers. So little bit of money back and forth there, but division game, another one that I'm going to have to wait and see on.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a little bit too many unknowns with the Browns. I don't really have high expectations for their offense, but, looking at it, I think that they probably have a decent enough chance to score some points on this Bengals defense. I could see them getting up into the 21 area even. Now, Bengals offense, I do expect to be quite good. I think, this maybe would be one we maybe consider with the Bengals. Like you said, Joe Burrow has played a little bit in the preseason, which I think is good. All their, stars are healthy, which is promising. I don't really know what to expect from the Browns on defense. I'm sure they'll be not too bad, but Bengals, I'd say, we kind of talked a little bit about their schedule. Talk about a must win. Like, you need to win this game against the Browns because the first 6 weeks of your schedule is like not good. So I think they're going to be full effort here. I'd be surprised if they didn't win, but I don't know for sure if they're going to get that cover.
Yeah. I could easily see the Bengals winning this game. I don't know. The Browns are not going to score much. 2013, 2017, somewhere in that range. 21-17, where, the Browns get some kind of touchdown at the end maybe and get within the point spread, which would just make you angry, right? So tough game to call. Then we've got next up our boys, the Raiders. We're not the Raiders, but we're big Patriots fans. Hosting the Raiders, new look Raiders. Pete Carroll at the helm, Geno Smith at quarterback, Ashton Jenney in the backfield, and back for his second season, Brock Bowers. Pretty good tandem they've got there. On the other side of the ball, Drake May looked great last year. A lot of promise there. They've got Travion Henderson. They've drafted to be their running back of the future. They've still got Stevenson there as the starter currently. Improved receivers on the outside. So looking good for the Patriots. This is another game, Matt, that I don't mean to jump ahead here, but another wait and see game for me. I know that you like the Raiders a lot in this game. For me, yeah, I want to see how, a new coach, Pete Carroll, new quarterback, Geno Smith, how they, get into the flow of things there. I'm not sure how the Raiders defense is going to be, whether it'll be improved from what it was. Patriots, they've got a new coach as well. They've got a lot of new toys to play with. I believe their defense is going to be pretty strong. They should be. But again, this is a wait and see for me.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. I mean, there's actually been some really weird things going on with both teams. Raiders signed Amari Cooper. He practiced for a couple days and then he decided he was going to retire. They have like barely any wide receivers on their depth chart. I don't know who Gino's really going to be throwing to. I guess like Jacoby Myers is going to be eating up most of the targets. I think they're probably going to run the ball a lot. And excuse me, on the Patriots side, something's going on with Christian Gonzalez. Is he out, hurt? I don't know exactly. He was like one of the best safeties in the league, and now he's like not playing week one, I guess.
Right.
So that's a little bit concerning for the Patriots. Not really sure what to do with this game now. Like after all this I guess what's been going on. The line stayed pretty steady all week. As you know, I lean Raiders here, catching some points against the Patriots. I think the Patriots are going to be good enough. Maybe not in week one to maybe beat this Raiders team. I think, I'd expect some more improvement from them as the season comes along. So I'd be kind of interested in the Raiders here, but it might not be one of those top games that we end up throwing in.
Yep. I agree. It's going to be, that Raiders receiving room is just, that's a rough group, right? So I think Brock Bowers is going to get a lot of passes thrown his way. And if I was the Patriots defense, I'd be doubling him on occasion for sure. Okay. Cardinals Saints. Saints begin their journey for Arch Manning. They're not a good team. They have Spencer Rattler at quarterback. I'll let you go first on this one.
Yes, looking at the Saints, Spencer Rattler, QB, like you said, man, I don't even know what I'm going to get from their defense. Yeah, there's not really much to say at the Saints. I mean, I think they have a decent chance to go 0-17 this year. So this could probably be the start of a really bad season for them. The Cardinals, the more I kind of looked at this game and more I thought about the Cardinals, I kind of like them a little bit. Marvin Harrison, I think, should probably hopefully make a leap in the second year. Good running game with James Conner. You got one of the best tight ends in the league, Trey McBride. Defense hopefully should be a little bit improved. And I just don't really see, from my perspective, how the Saints are going to score too much here. I mean, with Spencer Rattler as your quarterback, you're throwing dump offs to Kamara. I mean, you got Olave in there who's like, I don't even know what to think about him at this stage of his career. I think it could be a little bit of a beatdown for the Saints. I'm a little bit surprised that the line hasn't moved a ton on it. I mean, it did open at 4.5, and now we're getting it, in the contest at 6.5. I think 6.5 is still a number where I'd be interested in laying with the Cardinals. I think Cardinals should be able to secure, a 27-20, 21-14 type win and have a good start to their season.
Yeah, this was my number one pick of the week, was the Cardinals. I don't know how the Saints are going to get over 13 points. I know the Cardinals are going to score. They have James Conner. They have Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray. I mean, the jury's still out on Kyler Murray, but he's got a lot of weapons. He can throw the ball. He can move his feet, right? I think they're going to put a pounding here on the Saints. I don't know where the Saints offense is going to come from. The only way this game stays close is if New Orleans has some sort of miracle defense that we don't know about, or they're able to, get 3 or 4 turnovers or some points in the special teams game. That would be my only chance of seeing them staying in this game. I think the Cardinals are they're in a tough division. They need to win the games that they're supposed to win, and this is one of them. And I think I agree with you. The Saints over-under for the season is 4.5, and to me, that's way high. So I don't think they have any chance of getting the 4.5 wins. So yeah, I think we're in agreement on that. Next up is Bucks and Falcons, which is another one of those games that I really liked at the start of the week. Notes I had on that is Todd Bowles has a stellar week 1 record. He's 6-1 ATS in week 1 in his career. 3-0 is a favorite. So the total in this game's moved down about 2 points from 48 46. This is a game that sort of reminds me of the Dolphins-Colts game. At the start of the week, I would have put a large sum down on the Tampa Bay because I just was thinking, Baker Mayfield has a big advantage at quarterback. And then I started reading some about the Bucks injuries and some of the defensive problems that they've been having, and some of the success that the Falcons have been having with their offense and that. And it started to give me some pause. And then we had spoke earlier in the week and you were thinking Falcons and I was still thinking Bucks. And the more I read, this is another division game. I think if you had to lean, seeing that it's a division game and you've got a home underdog, you'd have to kind of lean that way. But this is going to be another one of those wait and see games for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with everything you said. The line has been like moving in really weird ways. I'm seeing that the Falcons are actually taking a lot of money right now. It's sitting at 1.5 now on FanDuel. Man, yeah. If the Bucks weren't dealing with some of those injuries, I think it's a left tackle maybe that's injured, and then their defense I think also has some. It's just a little bit concerning. I'm just hoping, I totally agree with what you said. I'm just hoping this isn't one of those games where we look back on our week one recap and we're just kicking ourselves because we didn't take the easy pick with the Bucks. I actually project this game to go pretty soaring over that 46 total. That's something that I've put in the account this week and over in this game. I'm not really seeing a lot of defense from either of these teams, honestly. So we'll see. I think like you said, probably best to avoid this one for now. But I think Bucks is, as we discussed in the preseason, one of those teams that we're both pretty high on.
Yeah. Just a heads up. At Caesars, it just moved to 1, Tampa Bay -1. So yeah, there's Falcons money
Okay.
flying in. I mean, for this late in the week for a game to move a whole point like that, take some steam there, right?
Yep. Yep.
Here's another game that Titans Broncos that in year 1 of Circa Millions that we played, and last year I think we would have jumped on the Broncos right away. They would have probably been our top pick. Last year the Titans were 2-15 against the spread. They were the worst team since 1970 to go against the spread, 2-15. They did get the number 1 pick with that, Cam Ward. Broncos are 8-0 against the spread as a favorite last season, and 11-5 overall against the spread. This is another game. It's I could see the Broncos winning this game 31-3, but week 1 has a lot of surprises in it. We don't know what we're going to get from Cam Ward. All the reports are good. Looks like he's been progressing well in the preseason. Got a good handle of the offense. A lot of new faces there in Tennessee. But what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, man, this will undoubtedly probably be the most lopsided, bets, money, whatever on a game all week, no doubt. I mean, I think everyone's going to be on the Broncos, right? And you could tell the way it's moved. I mean, it opened at 7. Now it's kind of between 8, 8.5. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't got it up into the 10 area just with all the money that's been coming in. I mean, I agree with you. I could see the Broncos just blowing the doors off the Titans. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst spots for a rookie to start in recent memory. I mean, you're going on the road to altitude and you're playing a team that is projected to have one of the top 2 to 3 defenses in the NFL. I mean, that is just a horrible, horrible spot. Now it is week 1. We don't know if the Broncos defense is going to be as great as they were last year. Man, it's going to be hard to stay away from this game for me just because there's no scenario in my mind where the Titans are winning this game. It would take miracles like you mentioned in the Saints game, I think, for them to come away with a win, or Cam Ward just being exceptional and much better than, we're projecting. Maybe mistakes from Bo Nix in his second year. I don't know. But I think, with all the people betting on Denver, I just don't know if I really want to be a part of it, especially now that the numbers gotten up to 8.5.
Yeah, this might be one of the games we kick ourselves next week and say, why didn't we take that easy win, right? But I'm with you. I think we'll give it some more thought later in the discussion and see where it comes around to. Here's an interesting game, mostly because recently today, McCaffrey, calf issues, out of practice. 49ers at Seahawks. I'll let you go first on this one too, Matt, because I know you're on the Seahawks bandwagon on this game.
Yeah, I'm liking the Seahawks, and this wasn't one I was looking at early in the week. But then I kind of was doing my deep dives in all these games, and I started looking at this one and thought more about what our expectations are for the 49ers and Seahawks respectively. And, I couldn't come up with a reason not to bet the Seahawks. This might be one of my favorite games of the week, putting Seattle in there. You look at their defense with Mike McDonald, I think it got better as the year progressed. I'm expecting now that he's had another full offseason, for that to be even better. I think the Seahawks could be maybe a top 10 defense. You got Sam Darnold in there, QB, and he's throwing to Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Cup. Some people love to hate on Sam Darnold. I'm not one of those people. I think he's maybe not as bad as people really say he was. And, the 49ers, they're dealing with a lot of injuries themselves, right? I mean, you got Ayuk, who's not going to be playing till week one. And you got McCaffrey, who is having one of these weird injuries, kind of like he had last year, that kept him out of a lot of the season. And I don't really know what we're going to expect. And their running back room behind him is not that deep. I mean, you're looking at like Isaac Guerrero, I think, is their like third stringer. I don't know what you're going to get from him if McCaffrey can't go. Like I said, I think you're looking at this 49ers wide receiver room and you're throwing to Ricky Pearsall. Who else? Excuse me, Jawan Jennings. Like,
Right.
I don't know. So
Yeah. And
the
I think,
Seahawks, I think, home dog, another one. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think another consideration and something that's important to bring up because we're specifically addressing the Circa Millions 7 contest, right? And one of the guiding rules of this is these spreads come out on Thursday afternoon and it's now Friday night. Right now, the 49ers are at -1. So just taking the Seahawks, you're getting 1.5 of value. I think to not do that would be a mistake because you're getting free points there. The line's moved a 1.5. I think the Seahawks are probably a pretty good pick because of that, right? You've got to take advantage of those differences in the lines between when we have to have our picks in and when they're provided.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, this is one of those ones as well where it's like we have a chance to be on a division underdog. And I think a pretty decent spot for them. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how you didn't get to talk too much about what you're expecting for this game, but I think based on what you just said, you're also maybe leaning towards putting the Seahawks in there as well.
Yeah, I'm just leaning on it. Again, yeah, I don't know what to think about. Is McCaffrey going to play? Is he not going to play? How's his calf going to be in 2 days? Who are they going to throw to? You're right. I agree with that. My only point of concern with the Seahawks would be, new quarterback, putting a new system in. That's the only thing. I was going to wait and see how the Seahawks were. And I kind of felt that way about the 49ers too. Maybe their receivers are good. I can't see that right now, but who knows, right? You'll know better after week 1, 2, 3, that little bit ways down the road. But just that 1.5 of value that you're getting on that is something that you can't pass up. If you take that value and you lose, you just have to live with it, I think. That's my only take on this game. It's just a pure value play. It's not that I have a strong feeling on either side. It's just the value.
Yep.
Make sense? Okay.
Yep.
Lions,
Agreed.
Packers. It says historically the Lions have owned this matchup of late. 6-1 straight up against the Packers in their last 7. 5-1-1 against the spread. Jared Goff coming in at 2025, 8-0 in week 1 in his career. I'm loving the Lions. I liked it when it came out. I liked it even better when the Packers got the trade for Micah Parsons and it moved the line a little bit. Got more points for the Lions. I think there's a lot of public money coming in on the Packers. There's a lot of Packer fans nationally. I think they're all over the Packers thinking this is going to be the savior. This is the guy that's going to take them to the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people forget the Lions were 15-2 last year. They did lose their coordinators, but they've got some capable replacements in those coordinator spots. They've still got players like Goff and Amon St. Brown. They've still got their defense. Remember at the end of last year, their defense was like half the defense was in the hospital, right? They were all on the injured list. All those guys are back, right? All those guys are back. Their defense is going to be stout. People forget how good that defense was, and then they started losing guys to injury at the end of the year. I'm loving the Lions in this spot.
Yeah, I think it'd be Lions or pass for me. I totally agree. I think that, the Packers have a lot of questions still on their defense. And Micah, I mean, he's got a stress fracture or something in his back. I don't even know how many snaps he's going to get in week 1, right? Like, obviously, I think, Lambeau's a tough place to play, but looking at how I have these teams rated, I mean, I still have the Lions as winning this game. Now, it's a tight spread, but I have the Lions as winning this game. So, I'm a little bit concerned that maybe the Lions might be a little bit of a public dog, but I'm not scared of that. I think that there is decent enough value on the Lions to where I think they could probably win this game outright. And I think they're a better team than the Packers, even with the addition of Micah Parsons.
Yeah. And are you excited about the Packers receiving core? I'm not. I
I
mean,
mean, I'm somewhat excited about Golden. I think Matthew Golden out of Texas could be interesting. He's a speedster, right? But the rest of the guys, I mean, what do they got? Jaden Reed.
Romeo
The names are
Dobbs.
escaping me. I'm Romeo Dobbs. They have a bunch of guys who are kind of like bona fide wide receiver twos, no real wide receiver ones.
Right. That's what I meant,
So
right?
I
And
don't
and
know.
Golden and
I
Golden could be
right.
good, right? But he's in his first game in the NFL this week, and we're talking about specifically this game, right? So is he going to come out of the gates and be CD Lamb? Probably not. Obviously the Packers have a good running game, but I'm not. I think the Packers are going to be a good team, and they're probably a playoff team. But I think the Lions are. They're going to go in there. The Lions know how to go into Green Bay and win. I don't think they're going to be going in there afraid.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And also, I would note if Matthew Golden turns out like CD Lamb, that'd probably be good for a Lions back because I'm pretty sure CD Lamb had like 3 or 4 drops last night. So that would be okay.
I agree. Okay, Texans Rams. This is a tough game. Houston, DeMarco Ryans 1-6 against the spread in September. 1-4 run last year in September. And the Texans have struggled to begin the season away from home. They're 2-6 straight up and 1-7 against the spread in week 1 in the last 20 years. And meanwhile, Sean McVay is 4-0 as a favorite in week 1. But the Rams are coming off a season as they were 0-3 as a home favorite. So a lot of mixed bags. I'm on the Texans bandwagon this year. I'm not on the Texas bandwagon in this game, but I think they're going to have a strong season. Their defense is ridiculous, really, really strong. I think their offense is built to go. Nico Collins, C.J. Stroud, good running game. I think they're going to have a really good season, the Texans, for sure. The Rams, it all depends on Matthew Stafford, right? If you told me Matthew Stafford was going to be there for 15 of 17 games, I think the Rams are definitely a playoff team and definitely a contender even for the Super Bowl. They have an awesome defense and a really good offense. But Stafford's just one big hit away from us seeing Jimmy Garoppolo for the rest of the seasons. That worries me. I like the Rams. If Stafford can stay upright, they're going to be good this year. The Texans, I think, are going to have a great season. I think this is going to be a great game to watch, not a great game to bet on.
I don't even know if it's going to be a great game to watch. I mean, this is going to be like a 14-17, 10-14 type game. I actually think both of these defenses could be pretty dang good. Texans especially, but the Rams had a decent young core, and I think they could be a little bit feisty on that side of the ball. I like Sean McVay a lot more than I like D'Amico Ryans. I think that was interesting, the stats you mentioned. I'd be Rams or pass here. I mean, I think I agree with you. I think the Texans could be good. I want to see more progress on the offensive side of the ball. They really disappointed last year in that regard. And I think, is Joe Mixon hurt? I don't think he's playing this week.
I know he's banged up. I don't know if they've come to a conclusion on whether he's out or not this week. I don't know. Maybe you can look that up real quick if you've got the option to do
Yeah,
that.
I don't
But
know exactly the news, but I know at least he's banged up. So that gives me a little bit of pause. Yeah, I'd be a pass here on this game. This is pretty much the only game on the board where I didn't have I could not figure out what was the right side at all. Just couldn't form an opinion either way.
yep.
It's just a complete you just gotta wait to see what you're getting from these teams.
Yeah. Is this not a last play of the game field goal team wins? Gotta be.
Yeah, and I mean also some of the things. I mean, you talked a little bit about strategies for this the Circa Millions contest, right? And some of these ones where they're right on the three. I don't want to necessarily bet on a game right on the three, right? That's just you're looking for a push in this game. I think it's going to be 4 or 17-14,
Yep.
something along those lines.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a push. The line hasn't done anything. I mean, I think there's maybe a 3.5 out there that's mega juiced, but like it, it's just I don't think anyone's going to be wanting to watch this game in that particular window. I think the Lions, Packers, and Seahawks 49ers are going to be the two games in that 4 p.m. window that everyone's going to be watching.
Right. Okay, two more to get to. Ravens, Bills, or the last 5 regular season games. Baltimore's covered in those games. However, in the 2 playoff games they've played, Buffalo's covered. The Ravens are 7-1, straight up and against the spread in road primetime games since 2022. This game, I mean, if you were to ask me this question back in, I don't know, April, and say that the Bills will be a home dog against anyone in the league, anyone, I'd say you're crazy. And this game did open up as the Bills the favorite, and it has been a steamroller of money on the Ravens, and now they flipped to where in the spread here, the Ravens are -1. There are places now, FanDuel, where the Ravens are laying 1.5. So a lot of money coming in on the Ravens on this side. One of the games I like this week, I like the Ravens when they were getting points. I should have bet them back last Sunday or Monday when they were getting those 1.5 that they were getting. I missed out on that, right? But a lot of steam on the Ravens. I think this is going to be a statement game for the Ravens. They're wanting to get back to the Super Bowl. They're loaded. They've got probably the best personnel in the AFC, and I think they go into Buffalo and they're going to try to make a statement.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm all over the Ravens this game. I mean, they just have the better roster, no doubt. I mean, every position you look at, even for quarterback, it's like, who would you rather have? Like Josh Allen or Lamar? You know, in the regular season, I think I'd rather have Lamar. He's been amazing in the regular season. Now, Josh had an MVP year last year. Lamar had arguably a better season than Josh did. Wide receiver core. It's like Khalil Shakir versus Zay Flowers. I'm taking Zay Flowers. Mark Andrews versus Dalton Kincaid. I'm taking Mark Andrews. Derrick Henry versus James Cook. I'm taking Derrick Henry. And then you get to the defense. I mean, the Bills, I think, still haven't addressed a lot of the problems that they had last year with the linebacking group. I agree with you completely. I think the Ravens are hungry this year. The window's closing. It's time to go. This is our year for the Super Bowl. We want to avenge the playoff loss that we had to the Bills while the Bills were at home. Lamar did not play good in that game. I think he'll play better in this game. And I think the Ravens will go in there and get it done. I took them when they were laying points. I'd take them now laying up.
Yep. It's funny as you were discussing the game, I remember last week when we did our preseason preview, I picked the Bills to go to the Super Bowl against Detroit, if you remember. And I'm going to stand by that. I think the Bills are going to have a great season, and I think they will go to the Super Bowl if they can avoid the Ravens in the playoffs. I don't think the Bills are going to win this game. I think the Bills could get to the Super Bowl if somehow the Ravens get picked off by somebody down the road in the playoffs. You know, some sort of Denver, whatever, you know, who knows who's going to be coming up. If they get picked off in the playoffs by some reason, I think this is the year for the Bills. Their window is also closing. Anyway, enough said. I think we're in agreement on that game. And finally, the Monday Nighter, the Bears.
And I was gonna say one more thing on the Bills. I mean, if they win this game, like they could legitimately have like a 15-win season. All their tough games are at home in Buffalo. Like they're playing the Eagles at home, they're playing the Chiefs at home. This Ravens game's at home. The division is not that hard. Like they could have an easy 1 seed if they win this game. I mean, they could run the table. Ravens, on the other hand, they obviously play in a much harder division. If they get this one, you know, they're setting themselves up to get the 1 seed as well. So Ravens have plenty of motivation. Anyway, on to the next one.
Yeah. The Monday night game, Vikings-Bears. The Bears opened up as a 1.5-point favorite in this game, and now, according to the Circa contest, the Vikings are laying that 1.5. The Vikings are 0-6 straight up and 1-4 in their last 6 primetime games. So this is going to be an interesting test. It's currently Minnesota, I'm showing as 1.5 point favorites in this game. This is one of the games I like early in the week. I still continue to like it. I don't have faith yet in Caleb Williams. I know he's got Ben Johnson now as his head coach and his coordinator, and I'm sure they've been working very closely together to improve on Caleb's game. But again, I think if you have to compare the running backs the quarterbacks is maybe a wash with J.J. McCarthy missing last year, but when he did at the start of the year, he looked pretty good. If he's come back from that injury, he's had a whole year to recover from that. I'd say quarterback's a wash, but I'd give the Vikings a bit of a bump in the running back position and definitely in the wide receiver position. And I think both teams' defense are great shakes. I'm not going to say either one of them are good, but I would give the Vikings the benefit of the doubt in this game. I think they're going to come in prepared and ready. And I just don't trust Caleb Williams yet. He's going to have to show me something more than he has so far to give me any confidence that he can win a big game like this. I think the Bears are going to be fine when they're up against competition that's lesser than them, teams like the Panthers or the Colts or the Titans, those type of teams. I think the Bears will fare very well, and probably we will pick them at some point. But I think teams at their own level and higher up, I think they're going to struggle against.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I like the Vikings here, and I was kind of all over them when they were +1.5. I mean, that line just was not correct. The Vikings are a better team, better roster, better coaching, I think, for the Vikings, in my opinion, even with Ben Johnson, who I really like. But Brian Flores, Kevin O'Connell, I mean, come on. They're going to be getting after Caleb Williams all night. I like the Vikings here. It's a little bit scary because it looks like they're taking a lot of bets, a lot of money, and obviously it went through the key number, so that was enough. But it is hard playing against a division dog like this. And I know I kind of talked about wanting to avoid that. But I like the Vikings. I don't know if I loved it. Maybe old us, I would have wanted to force the Vikings in there just because I have such a strong opinion on it. But I think we're being more tactical this year, and I'm not married to throwing the Vikings in there, especially because I think there's other games that have better value for us.
Okay. We've got through all the games, Matt. This is what I've taken down as notes so far as what we might have agreeable consensus picks. Number 1 would be Arizona. Number 2 would be the Jaguars. Number 3 would be Seattle. Number 4 would be Baltimore. Okay. That leaves us one more pick.
I think that's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not too much of a discussion needed there.
No, I think last year we would debate on for 10 or 15 minutes on once we got past the first 2 picks, I think. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it's not a good sign. I'm not sure what. Teams we've got left that we're interested in are teams like Detroit, which would mean we that would give us 2 dogs and 3 favorites. If we took Detroit, I'm feeling pretty good about that. You also had Denver as a possibility. I don't think we didn't lean too heavy on Cincinnati. We talked about them being one of the teams we might have picked in the past. I think this might come down to a Detroit, Minnesota choice, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we talked a little bit about Cincinnati. I think we were a little bit more split on the Raiders Patriots. I'd be okay with leaving them out. I think we both got scared off the Bucks and the Dolphins a little bit. I'd say probably if I was gonna take a last stab here, I'd want to roll with a division dog and roll with the Lions over instead of rolling with the Vikings. Lions, at least we kind of know what we're getting. Whereas the Vikings, we don't really know how JJ is, right? There's just more uncertainty with that game. So I'd rather roll with something where I have a number on the Vikings. I think not the Vikings, the Lions. I know the Lions are going to be a good team this year. I think the Lions are going to be a playoff team. I think the Lions are going to make a playoff run. So I'd rather have a known commodity catching points. I still think they should be a favorite in this game. So I'm good with that.
Yep, I agree. I think we're looking good. We were able to wrap this up in under an hour, which is nice. So we'll get the picks in. Hopefully our technical difficulties does not ruin our broadcast. I will try to fix it up and clean it up as much as possible. I'm going to stop recording if you'll stay on the line for just a sec, but our final picks are Arizona, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Seattle, and Detroit. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Let's start the season off strong. Okay.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Circa Millions. We always welcome feedback, suggestions, and criticism. You can reach us at @CornfieldGolf on Twitter. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, leave a comment, and cross your fingers for our picks.